Hello and welcome to another episode of Talking Politics here at The Hindu with me, Nistula Hebbar, where we unpack the news making the headlines in domestic politics. This week, we go to Western Uttar Pradesh, in Muzaffarnagar in particular, where farmer organizations under the aegis of the Samyukt Kisan Morcha held a massive Mahapanchayat. Why was this Mahapanchayat held? What was being talked about? What was the rhetoric? And what are the implications for the upcoming assembly polls in Uttar Pradesh will be the subject of this episode of Talking Politics. Kisan Ekta Jindabad! Jai Jawan! Jai Jawan! The Mahapanchayat held by farmers groups under the aegis of the Samyukt Kisan Morcha saw tens of thousands of farmers gather in that small town in western Uttar Pradesh. The farmers groups, their consolidation, their solidarity and their protests began after September 2020 when the Union government and Parliament passed the three contentious farm laws. These farm laws are Farmers Produce, Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act in 2020, the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Act 2020, and the Essential Commodities Amendment Act 2020. Farmers groups, especially in Western Uttar Pradesh, Haryana and Punjab, feel that this dismantles the old price assurance architecture that was built in to protect farmers and the prices that they got for their produce, and brought in place free market economy, etc., which would go with the whims of the market and therefore afford little protection to farmers, especially in these areas. There have been massive protests in the past as well, and ongoing protests for months on end over these three laws. A lot of talks, a lot of mediation was done between the union government and farmers groups, but the farmers groups are firm that they will settle for nothing less than the total repealment of these three laws, while the union government had said that they were willing to compromise on certain parts of these laws but would not think about repealing them. In fact, the NDA government lost one of its oldest allies, the Akali Dal, on the question of these farm laws. The Akali Dal has firmly identified itself as being on the part of these protesting farmers and saying that they too want a repeal of these farm laws. Several parliament sessions have seen massive protests by MPs from different political parties opposing these laws and asking for their repeal. That is as far as the laws themselves are concerned. Now, what has happened with regard to the Mahapanchayat has been that this was seen as a way of consolidation and solidarity, building consolidation and solidarity, and also posing an electoral challenge to the BJP in the upcoming assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh. Now, Western Uttar Pradesh is a massive swath of seats. Out of the 400 odd assembly seats in Uttar Pradesh, 146 fall in Western Uttar Pradesh, out of which in the last election BJP made a clean sweep of 117 seats. This is not a usual pecking ground for the BJP. The Bahujan Samaj Party was supposed to find the Western Uttar Pradesh an area of strength, as was the Rashtriya Lok Dal. Therefore, the choice of Muzaffarnagar and some of the slogans raised by farm leader Rakesh Tikait were particularly symbolic when it came to an electoral challenge. Muzaffarnagar was the site of communal riots in 2013, after which the old social and electoral alliance between Muslims and Jat peasantry in that area was ripped apart. The Rashtriya Lok Dal, which counted on the support of this consolidated group of peasantry, consolidated on issues regarding farmers, etc., found itself out in the cold with this communal rupture. In stepped the BJP, which picked up many seats not only in the 2014 Lok Sabha election but also the 2017 assembly polls. Therefore, Rakesh Tikait very significantly in Muzaffarnagar itself held this program, and from his stage raised slogans and chants of Allahu Akbar and Har Har Mahadev, signaling to the farmer groups and farmer leaders and ordinary farmers who had gathered for the Mahapanchayat that unless there is a communal solidarity on the question of the rights of farmers and their demands, there was no way that individual communities could give an electoral challenge to the BJP. This is an interesting development going up to the assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh, and gives a total electoral flavor to what happened during the Mahapanchayat. BJP leaders have been dismissing the strength of the Mahapanchayat, saying that it's a one-day event, that when it comes to voting, farmers, Jats and other communities there will realize that they need to vote back the BJP, that this is essentially a fight of the middleman who basically transports and sells the farmers' produce in mandis and markets, being edged out of the scene because of the farm laws, and not of the small farmer in particular. Whereas farmers groups say that they have been protesting for months on end, and this electoral challenge is another way to attract the government's attention and to make them fall in line with the farmers' demands, because they say that as a political party, the BJP will not be able to ignore the electoral strength of farming communities if they decide to consolidate and vote as farmers rather than as individual community leaders. This story is going to be, again, one of those which will continue to unfold. The end game in this situation is the Uttar Pradesh Assembly election, and its results will be there to talk about how this has unfolded, whether farmers groups can provide an electoral challenge and use an electoral mandate to finally make the government bend to its demands, or whether the BJP will be triumphant in romping home yet again. Thank you for joining me this week. I'll see you next week.